Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Last month I did a video that was kinds of preppers that will die, and a lot of people saw that. I got a lot of feedback on that, so I want to do a follow-up video to that. That's kinds of preppers that will live, or a kind of prepper that will live. And if you look at the folks that I said probably aren't going to make it, most of them were guilty of focusing on one area of preparedness to the point where they neglected others or just ignored them entirely. So because of that, I think that a prepper that's more likely to survive is one that's well-rounded. They try their best to focus on as many areas of preparedness as possible. Now, they might not be as squared away in a specific area as somebody who focuses purely on that, but they will have taken, I guess, a more holistic approach to their preparedness to allow them to be more prepared for as many situations as possible, because you don't really know exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. And as we go through this, y'all, I don't want anybody to think that I am under the impression that I am this person, because I'm not. I have areas that I need to work on and that I am working on. I think we're all that way. But this is kind of my goal, I guess, where I want to end up as a prepper. Because I think with anything, you need to have goals. You need to have an end game in mind. And so this is, I guess, personality traits and other attributes that I think a very well-rounded prepper has. And that would be somebody who is very capable of surviving most situations they would be put in, provided a nuke doesn't land on their head or something like that. But the first trait that I think a well-rounded prepper has is the will to live. If you look at most survival books out there, a lot of time the first chapter is the will to live, because it's extremely important. It doesn't matter the toys that you have. It doesn't matter what you know. If you don't have the will to live, then you're not going to make it. There's been stories on the flip side of somebody who doesn't know anything about survival, doesn't have much gear, they're put in a terrible situation, and just because they're so stubborn, they make it out alive. So do you have the tenacity and the fortitude to make it through a horrible situation and not give up and make it through? Also, do you have someone or something worth living for on the other side? Or if we're in a prolonged situation, do you have loved ones that are depending on you that would be put at a huge disadvantage if you were to die? That can be another powerful motivating factor for the will to live. I know that keeps me from doing a lot of stupid stuff sometimes, because I think of my wife and my kid and I'm like, if I do that, probably wouldn't be good for them. Then also, faith can go a long way towards, keeping you in a kind of good will to live sort of mindset. And I think the next trait a well-rounded prepper should have is adaptability. Can you look at a situation that you're in and think of creative solutions to the problems that you face, even if they might not be apparent at the beginning? Can you think your way through that? And then also, are you able to adjust your way of thinking, adjust the way that you respond to certain situations to make you more survivable in a new type of environment? Are you able to kind of change yourself to suit the situation? Then also, I think a well-rounded prepper is in good physical condition, and that's one area I can definitely improve on. I mean, I love my Slurpees and my cheeseburgers a little bit too much. I need to tone down on those and kind of get moving a little bit more. And I realize there's a lot of people out there, they're getting on up there in age, or maybe they're struggling with some sort of disability and they may not be able to get back into peak physical condition. That might not be possible. But are you in as good a shape as you possibly can be? And then also, I think a well-rounded prepper is going to have a wide skill base, wide knowledge base, and then also their various areas of preparedness are going to be covered. So some examples of that. Okay, a well-rounded prepper is somebody who has survival skills, but they also have preps. Also, because there could be situations where if you are somebody really heavy on survival skills but not a whole lot of preps, you could get injured. There could be things within your environment that might prevent you from being able to procure food, procure water as needed. Then on the other side, if you're somebody that has a ton of preps, like a ton of food stored, a lot of gear, this, that, and the other, but your house burns down and you don't have any survival skills, then you're going to be up a creek without a paddle also. So it's good to have a balance of those skills and those preps to help you out in various situations. Also, this is kind of one that people don't really think about. It's kind of more of a gray man thing, but do you have the ability to blend into your surroundings and then use that to gather information about the situation that you're in? Because every situation is going to be different. So if you can go out and get that information that you need, then that's going to obviously be a good thing. Then also, another one that people don't really think about as far as knowledge goes is being financially savvy. As preppers, we really need to have our finances squared away so that we can continue to prep. I mean, prepping, honestly, it does cost money. So, I mean, are you in good enough financial shape that you can actually do that without completely wrecking your finances? So having good spending habits, a solid financial foundation, or at the very least working towards improving your financial situation, I think is something that's important for every well-rounded prepper. Then as far as the actual stuff that a well-rounded prepper should have, of course you should have plenty of food storage, but you also want to be able to grow or procure additional food as time goes on. Maybe it's something like gardening, growing livestock, also things like hunting, fishing, trapping. Those are all good things to know. And then also, how are you going to preserve that food so that you'll still have something during times of scarcity? Because there are some months of the year where it's not really as easy to go out and say forage as it is other times of the year. Then the same goes for water storage. You should have plenty of water stored, but you should have multiple ways that you can collect water as time goes on and be able to purify it as well. Don't just have one water filter. Then another kind of physical thing that a well-rounded prepper should have is you should have the defensive tools that you need. You should know how to use them, and you should also know when to use them. That's just as important as well. And defensive tools, they're more than just weapons. Of course, that's an important component of it. But do you have the ability to monitor your home, monitor your property, monitor that perimeter so that you can see things coming at you before they actually get there so that they don't catch you off guard? Then also, I think a well-rounded prepper should have a well thought out energy plan, but also be able to function without technology as well. I think it would be a mistake to just completely ignore the advantages that things like radios, flashlights, and then even other things like red dots can give you, because other people might not have those things. It could give you an advantage so that if somebody tries to come harm you, they're at a technological disadvantage. But at the same time, you don't want to be 100% dependent on that either, so you want to be able to focus without that as well. Then also, you need to have the ability to deal with illnesses and injuries as they happen to you or someone else. Of course, you want to have medications stored, things like, pain relievers, antibiotics, other medications to help you deal with stomach illnesses. But also, when those things run out, you need to have the ability to use things in the natural environment to help you with those as well. And given they might not be as effective as a lot of stuff that we can get today, but it is important to know those, and also how to deal with injuries. If you haven't picked one up yet, I strongly recommend that you get the Survival Medicine Handbook. They're not sponsoring this in any way, shape, or form. But while we're talking about the idea of being well-rounded from a medical standpoint, I think that's probably one of the best resources out there to help you do that. And then also, you need to have the ability and the tools needed to make repairs to structures and equipment. If there's something you're going to be relying on, you need to know how that thing works and at least how to make basic repairs on it, because, Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will. So having the tools and the knowledge to deal with that sort of stuff, I think, is important. So, keep working on your different areas of preparedness. Learn as much as you can. I think every prepper should have a massive survival library that covers not just like traditional survival skills, but other things like medicine, home repair, repairing other kinds of equipment as well. And then also, I mean, primitive technology, all those different areas. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for stopping by.